Good
What's going
morning.
on?
Welcome,
Morning.
Andrew. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Anytime, no problem.
So,
Anything for the Meta Mortgage Group.
thank you. So, anyone who doesn't know, this is Andrew Kulakowsky. He's a realtor with Exp Realty Advisors Group in St. Catharines. So, welcome, Andrew. And I'm Cassandra Fortier, mortgage advisor at Meta Mortgage Group.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Cass.
Thank you. Thank you for spending the time. I know you're busy and you just got back from vacation, so you probably got lots of people to follow up on. But I wanted to meet with you today because, through everything I'm searching on social media, just to kind of see the pulse out there in the market right now, I'm kind of seeing two camps. I have a lot of realtors saying on social media, this is the best time for first-time home buyers. Get out there and start shopping. And then kind of another argument of this is actually a better time for investors. And everyone seems to have an opinion on who has the competitive edge in this kind of strange market we're dealing with right now. So I thought I'd get it right from the source. And I know you kind of deal with all types of different home buyers. So I thought I would see kind of what you're seeing in the market and who are you hearing from these days?
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. So here's the kind of my point of view here. I think everybody, when the market goes slow, like what's happening right now, the first thing I always see two things. I always see realtors saying it is the best time. It's so cliche because of course it's slow. So they want to try to attract, buyers and sellers. The first thing they're going to say is, it's still a really good time to buy. And I mean, there's some truth to that. And then I think there's some false, some false narrative to that as well. I think ultimately what it comes down to is, I think it depends on the individual. Obviously, compared to what the market was 6-8 months ago, as a buyer, definitely this is a no-brainer. I mean, if you were in the market at that time trying to buy a property, it was extremely frustrating. It was merely impossible because you were in competition every time. You had zero time to think about anything. There was a ton of pressure, and prices were skyrocketed. So, the reality of it is, I think definitely right now, if you are a buyer, it is a great time to buy. I mean, why wouldn't it be? And I think that goes along with whether you're an investor, first time buyer, even if you are downsizing, upsizing. I mean, I think it is a good time to buy because you've actually got some leverage now, right? You've got time
There's
to think about it.
opportunity out there for sure. There's lots of
Sure,
things
sure.
on the market. Like I'm seeing lots of things staying on the market a little longer. It's pretty evident that the sales process has really slowed down. And I really love working with first-time home buyers. And I've done a ton of pre-approvals in the last, say, 2 years, getting people pre-approved. They're out there shopping. I'm touching base with them constantly. Kind of, how's shopping going? And they were feeling really burnt out there for a long time, saying, you know what, I put a condition of financing in because I'm just still a little nervous to go in without it. My offer is not even being looked at. They put offers in on 50 plus houses. Their offer is not being looked at. They don't have that competitive edge, and things are moving so quickly for them that a lot of times they were just like, I'm not comfortable. I'm gonna hang back. So then when things started to slow down a bit, I thought, this is great. Let's get the first time buyers out there. They can actually be part of this process. Their offer is going to be looked at. They're going to be able to put that condition of financing in. They're going to be able to move through a little bit slower. And I've reached out to some of these guys, and a lot of them had said, hey, I don't know what's going on with the market. I hear interest rates are going up. I'm a little bit nervous. There's going to be a housing crash. I'm going to back off. So they're still feeling a little bit nervous. So what are you telling first-time home buyers that are talking about this impending doom of a housing crash?
I mean, the reality of it is consumer confidence is the number one thing. And the reason why people are scared right now is because of the unknown. That's the bottom line. That's why, it's a perfect storm. We're in the middle of August, which naturally August is one of our slower months throughout the 12 months. So naturally, we're already in a slower market to begin with. A lot of people are on vacation. Things are just quiet. So you couple that with what's happening in the market with consumer confidence in the Bank of Canada, kind of dangling that rate carrot over our head right now. It's the perfect storm. So I can't blame buyers in general to be nervous. I think again, it comes back to partnering with a good mortgage broker, a good mortgage agent, a good real estate agent who provides the information to try to, work you through it rather than listening to all the noise, in the media, noise from neighbors, all this gibberish that happens when things like this happen. I think it's probably the most important time to lean on the professionals to give you the confidence that you maybe need, and then give you the information you need, and then hopefully they'll be able to make an informed decision based on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and with a lot of these first-time home buyers, like that's typically what I do with our first-time home buyers. They'll show me a listing, I'll crunch the numbers on them. This is the max number you can offer at, so that they're always aware of their budget. And we have had to make a little bit of adjustments because, of course, the stress test is a little bit different right now. So although these buyers are now all of a sudden seeing there's a ton of houses in their price range, it actually seems attainable to find something that's affordable. Their budget may have changed a little bit just because we probably pre-approved them at a stress test rate of 5.25%. And now what the rules are in Canada is if the contract rate plus 2% is higher than stress test, of course, we have to go with the higher. So people are being stress tested a little bit higher, in some cases around 6%, 6.5%. So we have had to adjust that, but I think there's still a lot of opportunity out there because although their budget may have come down, there's a lot more houses available at that rate. So they're still having a bit of a competitive edge to go out there and shop and pound the pavement a little bit. So yeah, you're right. The relationship is big to make sure you're looking at those numbers and make sure you're shopping at the right price point.
Yeah, I think it's all about leveraging. I should say leverage, calculating your risk level, your risk tolerance, right? I mean, it's buying a piece of real estate is like investing in a stock market or investing, period. And there's always going to be risk involved. The problem is if you sit back and go, well, what if the market drops 5%? What if the market drops 2%? What if I walk out front and get hit by a car? I mean, at the end of the day, these things are going to happen, right?
Yeah.
And you always have to remember that historically with the real estate market is that there's always these peaks and valleys, but ultimately it's always going up. At what rate? Obviously, nobody has a crystal ball. And over the past, 3 years, yeah, it's accelerated at a rate that obviously this is the outcome. It's not sustainable. So things are down 10, 15%. Will they drop a little bit more? Possibly. But at the end of the day, as a buyer right now, even if it did drop 5%, like what's your option? Are you living at home? Are you okay with that? Are you okay with paying rent? Like what's good for you? I mean, so you buy a house that goes down 5% in the first 12 months.
You're still living in it.
You're still living in it. You're still making your mortgage payments. The risk calculation or assessment should have been done ahead of time, and these conversations should have been had with your broker saying, listen, if the market drops 5%, do we have a slush fund? Are we able to support that? If your rate goes up by 2%, if you're on a variable rate, are you able to support that? Weigh the pros and cons. Yes, some people, it may not work, and that's okay. But for a large majority, it actually will work. It's just, you have to run through the numbers. You have to go through the process. You know what I mean?
And I think you nailed it on the head at the beginning when you said there's lots of opportunity out there depending on your situation. Because if I was working with a buyer right now who is maybe in the market of flipping something, purchasing something and wanting to sell it right away, I would maybe want to relook at their plan because we don't know if the equity is going to be there in 12 months or 6 months when they're ready to offload that property. Because the inflation rate right now and how the prices are rising is a little bit less predictable right now. Whereas if I'm talking to a young family or an investor that wants to hang on to this property for 10, 15 years, I mean, eventually you will rebuild that equity, even if the equity drops for a short period of time after you purchase, you will still always at least have your foot in the door because as we know, having your money sitting in the bank waiting for your down payment will never accumulate as quickly as your equity in your home will. No. So at least you've made the investment, you've got your foot in the door, you can be during that time maintaining your house, you can be improving it and building that equity with your sweat equity versus, just waiting for the market to give you some money.
100%.
Right? So, and a lot of people, they're so worried about the interest rates being higher. Oh, it's so expensive. Mortgages are so expensive. I keep reminding people the interest rates are really not that much higher than they were pre-COVID. We got very spoiled over COVID, seeing these great rates, and investors and first-time homebuyers alike were like, oh, great, I can afford so much more because my payment's going to be so much smaller, which is great. But if that's the only reason you purchased the home you purchased, it's probably not the best option. You should always be working from your budget and working backwards to find the right house price point that you want to purchase at.
Yep.
And assuming that you're always going to be paying 1.5% or 1.1% with some of these crazy rates we saw during COVID, it's just not realistic. And if you were kind of promised that, you were maybe a little bit ill-informed. So there, to your point, you have to make sure that there is space in your budget for a little bit of fluctuation in payment, especially if you've got a variable rate, to account for that, because it's not sustainable for rates to stay that low, and it wasn't sustainable for house prices to stay that high. So this
Yeah.
is at least corrected things a little bit. So I'm happy
Yeah.
to see that. And I just hope that the message is getting out there. And that's definitely why I wanted to do this today, to give people a little bit of confidence that, you know, the world is not ending, the sky is not falling. We can still continue to move forward with our hopes
No.
and dreams for the future.
Yeah. No, the market is completely, you know, it's for a buyer, it's not hard to navigate right now. It's we're talking sellers off the ledge every day. That's the honest reality. You're seeing 50% every day. I open a computer and I look at how many new listings hit the market. You look at the price decreases. It's 50% of the new listings every single day, if I had to average it out. So buyers, I mean, honestly, if you're in any position whatsoever, get out there, because I'm telling you right now, there are some fantastic deals. You've got leverage, and we're seeing price decreases like hundreds, 50, 60, 80, 100,000. Don't be afraid. Get out there, put some offers in, because man, you've got a lot of choice out there. That's the reality. Now, investors, it's a little bit different, because, you know, investors, you know, with variable rates, it is hard to purchase something with crunching the numbers and having, you know, running the numbers, making sure you're obviously trying to cash flow. It makes things a lot, you know, a lot more difficult if you are getting into a variable rate, because, you know, in a matter of, you know, one price increase or one rate increase can really throw off your metrics, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
For an investor. So I think you've seen a lot of investors pump their brakes, which again is an open door opportunity to get more buyers into the market that aren't investors, and they're not going to be competing against investors, right? So keep that in mind.
I think also with investors, why we've seen some investors pump the brakes on it is there's kind of the old method, right? You're reusing your equity to purchase more investments, more real estate. And so a lot of these house prices, people are refinancing their home or one of the homes in their portfolio to take that equity out for their down payment of the next one. And with prices going backwards a little bit, it may just be taking them a little bit longer to build up enough equity for that next down payment. But while we're talking about investors, I did want to ask you a question, in your opinion, about rental rates. You know, we're seeing house prices change a lot, and we're seeing interest rates change a lot. Are you seeing a big difference in kind of what the average rental rates are out there right now?
Yeah, the rental rates have definitely gone up, because you got to remember, obviously, you know, as an investor, you know, having one or multiple properties, if you are in a variable rate, your monthly costs have gone up a couple $100 a month, give or take.
Yeah.
So if you have the ability to increase rent, or if it's vacant and you are looking for new tenants, the first thing you're going to do is obviously increase your rent, hopefully at market value or a little bit higher, whatever you feel comfortable you need to do to get it rented. So rents, ultimately, it's a snowball effect. You know, prices go up, interest rates go up, inflation, and then so do rental rates, right? So yeah, no, rental rates are definitely up, but I feel there is the market is slightly saturated with a lot of rentals out there as well. Again, ultimately giving some tenants some leverage to get into the market and negotiate rental terms as well.
Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, I never thought of that. You obviously help clients finding properties to rent, as well as helping investors rent out their units. So yeah, that's a good point. My thought was, I also heard that the amount in which realtor or investors are allowed to increase their rent is going up in 2023. Highest it's been in a while.
2.5%, I believe.
Yeah, which usually it's around the 1.5, I think, every year. So that's another reason. I mean, per unit per month, it's probably not going to make a huge difference, but it is an upward trend. And to your point, when these places are vacant, they're going to have a big jump there. So if you're looking to rent or you need to move the spot you're in, it's going to get that much more expensive. And like we always say, obviously being in the real estate market, we're big fans of, pay yourself, right?
Yeah.
If you can swing it to get a mortgage and purchase a home, at least you're paying yourself and you're not paying somebody else's mortgage. And yeah, I think we've hit a lot of great points today as to why for both investors as well as first-time home buyers or any buyers, to your point, there's a lot of opportunity out there. And it's just important to be working with both a mortgage broker and a real estate agent who really understands your goals, what your budget is and what you're planning to do, so that they can help you find the right opportunity and make sure you're making a smart decision going forward on what your budget's going to be and what your payments are going to look like, so you can account for adjustments in the market as you go forward.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Cass, I agree.
Good. Anything to add, Angie? It's really great for you to do this, and I think we got a lot of great information, but that covers off the points I wanted to talk about. Is there anything you wanted to add that you think our listeners might want to hear about?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head, Cass. I think ultimately, if you are a buyer out there right now, or either pump the brakes and we're a buyer, and then you pump the brakes and stopped, or if you're thinking of getting in the market, you know what? Don't be scared. There's that saying that we say is, the best time to buy real estate is yesterday, and that is absolutely 100% true. I live and breathe that, and I've done it myself. And yeah, how many times have I been scared to do something, but ultimately, it's always worked out. And whether it be short term or long term, buying real estate is probably one of the best investments you'll ever make. So if you are on the fence and you're a buyer, don't be scared. Lean on your professionals to help you, and get out there and do something, because there's opportunities out there. As for sellers, you know what? I think new sellers right now, I think that they've swallowed the pill. They understand. I think slowly but surely they're absorbing what's happening in the market, and they're accepting it. And I think the sellers that are fresh sellers, kind of starting from now and on, have accepted that. I think the market, though, there's a lot of sellers that are in the middle of selling your house, that they're still hoping for, that price that happened back
February,
a month ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago. The ship has sailed. Unfortunately, it's come and gone. That's just the reality right now. But yeah, that's pretty much it, Cass.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much, Andrew. And to everybody listening, if you have questions, or, you've been pre-approved and you're shopping and you just want to know if it's still the right time for you, that's what we're here for. So reach out. I always say, reach out to your mortgage broker before you reach out to your real estate agent, because we want to make sure you really know your numbers, and that we're working with a really solid budget before you start looking at some real estate with your real estate agent. And then let's all work together and we can make it happen.
Cool. Right on, Cass. Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, thank you. Talk to you soon. Bye now.
Take it easy.